Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Volm, CEO and founder of RevOps Co-op. We are a community of about 13,000 plus revenue operations professionals from all across the globe. If you are not a member, you should click that link in the chat to join. We do have a free membership option available, so truly is open to any and everyone who is passionate about revenue operations. And then as you can see from my background, RevOps AF 2024 being held in San Diego in about a week and a half. John is going to be there. Aviv is going to be there. We'll have 250 plus revenue operators from all over the globe. People are coming from as far as Tokyo, Japan, Dublin, Ireland, Berlin, Germany. So join us if you want to have some fun. There's some great content, great sessions, and there are some incredible kind of experiences and networking events that are included as part of your pass and ticket as well. We'll drop some info in the chat about the conference, but we are not here to talk just about that. Like I said, we're here to talk about kind of managing your RevOps backlog and where you can kind of find your real P1. And so with that, I'm going to just go around the horn, do a quick introduction of the panelists that we have, and then I'm going to kick it over to Aviv to get us started on the conversation. So I have John Hulina, who is the founder of CRM Assist. I have Eric Portugal Welsh, who is the director of revenue operations over at Deputy. I also have Kim Hargrove here, who is, Kim, you have your own consulting firm, I believe, is that right? And then I have Amanda Garza, who is on the RevOps team over at Clary. And last but certainly not least, I have Aviv, who is over at Sweep. And Aviv, I'll actually turn it over to you because I know you had kind of a little icebreaker you wanted to do. And then also if you wanted to add anything to kind of those introductions that I shared, go ahead. But it is all yours. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yes, thank you. So first of all, thank you for RevOps Co-op for arranging this webinar, and thank you for John from CRM Assist that sponsored this. As said, I'm Aviv. I'm from Sweep, and I must say before we start talking about the RevOps backlog is probably one of the busiest topics in RevOps to discuss in general. And I think what makes today's discussion special is the fact that we have speakers from different kind of I would say roles, not only the experienced RevOps folks from companies that are working currently in companies like Eric and Amanda, but also John and Kim that can provide additional angle on another topic, which is when do we need to outsource and how to outsource efficiently and still keep the control within you as RevOps. So I think it's going to be a very interesting session. I do appreciate everyone that managed to join because I guess every person that joined here today is busy with their busy backlog and probably saying to themselves, how do I find time to sit an hour in a webinar? So even if you're having lunch or coffee or just listening on the side, we appreciate you all for joining. Please feel free to ask questions during, and also to provide your tips and to connect between each other. After all, this is the power of this community, to connect and to assist each other. So again, thank you all for joining. Without further ado, I would like to start before we will start with questions and ideas with a little bit of better introductions to our speakers here. So I would be happy if each one of our speakers, and I will choose you randomly to surprise you, will introduce themselves. What are they doing in their company? How much time are they doing it? And your overall knowledge with the world of RevOps. And I do want you to add, because we're all experienced RevOps folks doing it for quite a while. John is doing it way before the RevOps term was even invented. So we would be happy if you could share with us what was your first job ever, just to get understanding of the path. But without further ado, we'll start with Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hey, how's it going? All right, so
I'm good. Let's hear what everyone's saying.
Yeah. So just a quick intro to myself. I have over 15 years of experience working with small to medium-sized large businesses across the go-to-market bow tie. And recently, about 4 years ago, started my own company called KCK Consulting, Revenue Operations as a Service. And let's see, my first job was working at a local Starbucks. So you can imagine what I learned in terms of patience and dealing with customers, especially pre-caffeine.
I love it. It definitely tells a lot, or brings a lot of value in terms of dealing with backlog and load in general. But amazing. Eric,
That's right.
you go next.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Eric here, the director of RevOps at a company called Deputy. I've been doing RevOps for better part of 10 years now. My first job, very similar, but was at Dunkin' Donuts back when it was called Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh man, we got some coffee and donut experts here. I love it.
That's
It's
right.
also the last
I
thing.
used to
It's
bring
also the last thing I
home
want
the
to
stale donuts every day.
mix.
Great.
Thank you, Eric. John.
Thanks, Aviv. So John Lena, the founder of CRM Assist. I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for 15 years, last 12 of that, as consulting, and started CRM Assist a year ago. And we focus on really SMB, small projects, implementations, managed services, and really focus heavy on the outsource piece. So fractional help for people that need it. And then my first job was dishwasher at a steakhouse. And there were 20 people from my high school working there. And it's a good thing the guests did not know what was going on behind the scenes.
I guess we will eventually open up a RevOps cafe, and we will all have an alternative job. Just looks where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, so
Thanks,
far
John.
we've got people that'll do the dishes and make the coffee. So I mean, so now I'm curious, like where Amanda and you are gonna fit into this cafe, Aviv. But yeah, we got something going here.
Yeah, Amanda,
Hi.
the missing piece in our cafe.
Yeah, well, I don't know how much I could contribute to the cafe, to be honest, but I'll just quickly say I'm at Clary today, which hopefully folks are familiar with, but I have been doing RevOps now for 8 to 9 years. Started as an SDR, so if anyone's watching as an SDR, RevOps is definitely a role for you. And my first job was when I was in high school. My cousin is a pediatrician, and so they at the time were trying to transfer, physical files to digital files. Like this was like back in the day when, digital was just coming into that side of things, or into that industry. And so I was, I guess, quote unquote, a file clerk. So I was just working through this huge room of files, like trying to get them digitized. So that was my first job. It was very focused. I was just listening to music, I don't think podcasts were a thing at the time. So unfortunately, couldn't listen to folks like us talk about all things RevOps. So I don't know how I could contribute to the coffee shop, but I can learn a new skill. I can make coffee.
At the end of the day, we're all RevOps people. So we're very good in finding ourselves new roles and to learn how to adapt to them. But in order to thank you all for this, quickly about myself, I'm Aviv. I'm talking from New York. I'm currently at Sweep. I'm leading partnership and marketing at Sweep. Sweep is a visual workspace for Salesforce. So we're basically making the life of Salesforce users much easier than they were before, and we serve users from the business users and until the admins. We cater them all. Before then, I was pretty much close to 10 years in the RevOps space, and my first job was actually, it sounds more appealing than you all, but I was working on a boat. I was working in the boating industry. It was a very, very junior role. But yeah, I was working on a boat, on a yacht in Israel. It was a great job, bad salary. But yeah, I loved the ocean. So it was my first job. And with that being said, now that we established that we all had a rough start, but we all in RevOps now, but we learned how to toughen up. Let's remind everyone, and especially the folks that join in the last few minutes, the topic of today. We're talking about the RevOps backlog and how to navigate this. We have a great opportunity here today to learn from experienced RevOps that are doing this in-house for companies like Eric and Amanda, and we have another angle to learn from John and Kim that are practically today are fractional RevOps and outside consultants, and obviously working a lot with RevOps to help them manage this backlog. So please feel free to ask questions if you have. But with that being said, we all know that RevOps is hectic. Everybody's talking about it, about firefighting in RevOps, about managing this backlog, about being pulled for different directions, or even being shifted between different departments in the company. And I want to start with Amanda, with you. Why this thing is happening? Why RevOps people are feeling so loaded with work and an endless backlog always?
Yeah, I think it could be a few things that could contribute to having a really large backlog. But one of the first things I think of is just insufficient staffing and or just having like the wrong folks focused on the wrong things, right? So when you're looking at your team, I like to think certain people have certain skills, in making sure that you're thinking through how to maximize their skills with the projects that you're giving them can help really relieve some of that workload. You could also have just like a general lack of prioritization framework. If you don't have a way to say what is or isn't urgent, it's really hard for you to then say no to certain things or to put off certain things. And so you just continue to say yes to everything. And all of a sudden you've got 50 tickets in your backlog that you can't say no, I can't work on that right now, because there's nothing stopping you from that, right? So those are a few things. I think also too, one thing that is really big is just making sure you're looking at all the things that are coming into your queue, and for yourself, think through, is there a place where I can spend an extra hour or two to automate something that would just take 10% of this out or 20% of this off my workload? It sounds like a lot because there may be a lot of reporting requests that are coming in, as an example. And if what you could do is just build a data definitions dictionary or something to help people understand how to build their own reports, all of a sudden you're not getting reporting requests. You're allowing them to self-serve those things. And so just spending the time and thinking through that really helps you alleviate what's in your workload.
I think you said something very interesting that might be relevant for folks in bigger companies, right? When you have a team of RevOps that you can distribute the work, and sometimes it happens like in a smaller company, you have only one, or you're a team of one, so it's harder to navigate through those. Do you mind sharing more about like how would you categorize the, you said skills and capabilities of RevOps people? Like what buckets would you put them in?
That's a good question. I don't know if like my framework is necessarily the right one, but I kind of think of, some folks are really good with systems, some folks are really good with analytics. Some are really good operators or project managers. And so just kind of looking at your team and find like, frankly, I'm not the best person at analytics. I could do analyses in Excel, but if you have someone on the team who could build something in a BI tool and make that process so much easier than having to like extract data and redo the model and do all this stuff, like go let them spend that time to do that. Again, it might be a project that takes them 10 extra hours than your Excel model, but now that they've spent that time, months, when you think about it long term, you're no longer having to do that modeling project every month or every quarter or whatever the case might be. And so that's kind of how I think about it.
That's really the thing I really liked about what you said, and I'm going to point the next question to Eric, so be prepared, because I'm excited to hear what you're going to say about it. Is that you said there are some things that I don't know, which is, by the way, a very brave thing to say. In RevOps, we tend to take all the things to us, and also in companies we see it happens that everything that no one knows what to do eventually falls under RevOps, especially in the world of go-to-market, right? So let's talk a little bit about how to understand your limits and when to say no to things, or when to ask for help. Eric.
When to ask for help? Well, I think it's important to understand capacity of your team. So I'm going to speak to this from the lens of having at least a couple people on the team. But this is where capacity planning and going into like annual or semi-annual strategic planning comes into effect, because it really outlines what your priorities are for whatever the full year, half, quarter, et cetera, and then helps you manage expectations to those priorities. And I think that's like the critical piece of understanding where people on my team are focused, what they should be working on, and how much effort and time they can put into items in the backlog. Also helps provide that level of visibility to other members, your stakeholders, so that they can understand what's truly important. And when I talk about the strategic planning here, should not be done in a silo. Should be done using input and guidance from your stakeholder groups, so that they can feel like they've directed where you're going to be focusing your time for the remainder of the year, for the remainder of the half.
Love it. And I think, when we're talking about managing and reducing the backlog, I think the next question should be for Kim, actually. As a consultant, as a fractional RevOps, when you get new customers or your existing customers, when usually are they coming to you for help? Is it like when they completely out of control, burn out, knows anything? Or is it part of a strategy of like, we need a consultant right now to help us reduce the backlog? And how would you reach this from the angle of an external consultant?
Yeah, absolutely. So typically when customers come to me, something's on fire, right? Something is majorly on fire and they're panicking. And what I like to do is set up a discovery session, right? Make sure that we're asking the right questions. Make sure that your intake process is allowing to siphon through what's actually important, right? What's the impact of not doing the work? If you ask that question, a lot of people have to think through, oh yeah, right. What am I going to lose here? Making sure that intake has, you're able to relate back to overall company strategy, increased revenue, some kind of quantifiable benefit, right? And who is requesting the work, most importantly? If it's your head of sales, do it, right? If it's an AE that maybe this is a nice to have further on down the road, question it, poke some holes in it a little bit. And typically what I find is that when customers come to me and they think, oh man, like my sales, everything's on fire. I can't understand, what we're producing. I don't know how to forecast. I don't have any kind of repeatability or predictability for our board. And I start to uncover some of those things and just asking the right questions. And then what I find a lot of the time is that, oh yeah, this one area is on fire, but it's probably because of something that's happening earlier in the funnel, right? Could be something that's happening with your BDs, your marketing team. Maybe customers don't necessarily have that marketing foundation that's truly built up to help support sales. So super, super important to make sure that you're kind of triaging and assessing in the right way.
And I think what something very interesting that you're saying here, that I'm now thinking about it, as RevOps people, we always look at the process, right? We like to look at our process or the sales process, the revenue process as our, I would say, product, right? We are the owners of this. And we know that in order to keep up with the business, we need to always update the process and evaluate the process and measure the process. And it's actually very interesting because I assume, I can think about myself, I didn't get a lot of opportunities to assess my own process, like my intake process for new tasks, which is saying, okay, the company is growing, the demands are different, the reporting needs are different. There are much more tools than ever. Or even now I have team that I also need to manage, that in some cases you think, oh, we have more team members joining. I have now a team, so it's probably going to reduce my work. And then surprise, we're managers. Now we need also to manage manpower and career path and other responsibilities. So in this case, I would say the tip that I think we should give to everyone here is also to evaluate your intake process for what gets into your backlog and how do you do it? How do you measure it? How do you categorize it? So it's not always like, I'm RevOps, I know how to take tasks. And as Eric said, it's also really much oriented towards how to communicate it, how to create this visibility. When you're a small team, everybody knows what you're working on. This is the most important thing for the company. As the company is growing, the need for visibility is becoming a critical thing. But I want to ask something, John, because I see you sitting there, very politely. How many times, as a CRM consultant, right? People are coming to you with probably a lot of anger and frustration from their sales force. How many times they are showing you solution that they did in the past just to get the quick win, right? We did this patch, we solved this issue. How many times did you see it? I guess a lot. But what's the right way, in your opinion, not just to mitigate it when they're coming to you, but what's the right way to manage it internally to avoid those situations?
Depends on the situation, the size of the company, right? In the smaller companies, you've got the accidental admin that's also the marketing person or sales ops or executive or whichever, right? And Salesforce has gotten so ridiculously complex, they can't keep up with it. So, we can help them triage, based on, what's easiest and what should be most important, and handle that for them and just on an as needed basis. The larger company that's got, a team, and some pretty strong knowledge, self-worth knowledge, it might be a specialty, right? They have CPQ, they need help with that because becoming a CPQ expert is hard. It could be just something technical, right? In development, they need some more complex flows written, or even some more complex reports and validation that they can't figure out. So we'll help them with that. Or maybe it's training. One of the biggest problems is we go live with Salesforce, we do the initial training. The change management is not handled very well, so a new rep doesn't get good training. And then what I hear the most often is just the reps don't get any training after the initial launch. And, I'll be at a cocktail party and people are trying to ask me how to do list views, right? And, that ongoing knowledge transfer needs to happen because the more they get into it, the more they're going to want to do. And there's, and I often hear, well, I can't bother the Salesforce admin because they're too busy.
This is definitely a Salesforce admin that is very strict about their backlog, right? And this is very much around the art of saying no, or the art of prioritization, right? We can call it a different name to not be so negative. The art of prioritization. But there is actually an interesting topic that I want to raise here with the forum and to ask you guys. We hear it a lot. It's almost fluffy to hear this term of RevOps want to shift from tactical to strategic. But in managing a backlog, there is very much a reactive approach, right? People are asking things from us. We are creating tasks to ourselves. We now need to deliver. Where the strategy piece comes into play here? Where are we starting to plan ahead? When RevOps, this shift happens, that RevOps starts to plan ahead and to manage their backlog in a way that is future looking. Eric, I want to hear your opinion on this.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it goes back to what I said before. It goes out to that. I mean, we do semi-annual listening tours with all of our stakeholder groups where we sit in a room for a couple hours and we review anything and everything, process, systems, training related. We take notes and we build it into our priority schedule for the next few months. Where does that come into place with like managing the backlog and mitigating what I would say are like ticket taking events. Part of what we've discovered is there's a lot more you can do when you're more internal customer facing at regularly scheduled events. Think of office hours as a prime example. You a lot of tickets somebody in sales ops or marketing ops will get will be very tactical. Like I need help finding this one record. And if you just have an intake process that allows anybody and everybody to fill out a form to submit a request, you're going to get dozens of those a week, which takes a tremendous amount of time. If you have a 30-minute or an hour long office hours weekly, you can finish everything on that call. And it also holds your stakeholders accountable to show up. We're not going to work on these tickets if you just submit them. Come to office hours, we'll fix it there. They don't show up, it wasn't important. I also think of, I'm sorry if I'm going a little off topic, but I put it in the chat. I also think of your intake process as necessary friction. If you're an organization that uses Slack or I'm sorry if you use Microsoft Teams, not to throw a little shade at Microsoft, but use Teams, it's too easy for people to get a hold of you and to ask you questions. The fill out a ticket or show up to office hours is an accountability piece that forces people to show up, to put some effort, thought into it. And then what I like to do is show them, we have our priority list published publicly. And if it doesn't roll up to one of those priorities, it's not something that we're going to focus on. What we'll do is we always have a little extra time to work on these one-offs, these ad hoc requests that come up, because they're always going to come up. You're never going to prioritize everything correctly all the time. You need to save 20% capacity for your ad hoc processes, systems that break.
Anyone wants to add to this? Because I saw you all nodding, so it looks like you all have great comments to add.
Go Slack. That's all I'm with Eric on that. Condolences
I
for any
definitely
worries on
use
that.
uses
Slack.
Teams.
I was going to kind of piggyback on something you mentioned earlier, Aviv, around, say the art of saying no, right? The art of prioritizing and bringing it back to, hey, in order to have that kind of strategic thinking or that strategic presence, it starts with a little bit of friction. It starts with a little bit of pushback, right? I've learned this the hard way, that's for sure. There's the right way to say no, and there's the wrong way to say no, right? If I'm looking around and I see everyone banging on the table, being aggressive, no, we're not going to do that. Well, sure, yeah, I could do that. I can also be aggressive and yell. Nah, not the best approach, right? I've learned that. But if you, again, have those kinds of trade-offs, if you say, hey, let me walk you through what else we're working on. Let's walk through how this is going to relate back to that strategy. That's where, the strategic input really comes in handy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, I just want to add to that too. It's just like, it really, the art of saying no starts with understanding everybody's like objectives, and we call them revenue objectives here. So understanding, what are we trying to accomplish? And if everybody is aligned with what we're trying to accomplish, and we make an argument that what you're asking for doesn't add to what we're trying to accomplish, it makes it really easy, I think, for folks to understand why you say no. And it's not causing, it's not a contentious viewpoint where I'm just saying no to say no. Like, I'm saying no because I want to help you complete the one big thing that we agreed on, like the one huge revenue objective that you're trying to get out of this year, this quarter, this half. So I think that really helps, is what Eric was saying, is to have those conversations with folks and align on like what's really important, and understanding like what urgent means. Like, if you don't have a definition for urgent, like for me, the definition is if something's broken and it's stalling, it's causing a poor customer experience, or it's causing like a stall in some sort of like revenue process, like someone can't send a contract out or something like that, like that obviously is high priority because it's stalling revenue, which is like our one goal, is to help everybody have smooth and streamlined revenue processes. So I think once everybody knows like that's that we're on their team and I'm trying to help you get to where you're going, a no is not, it's not a bad thing.
Yep. And I want to add something from my angle, something that I learned in the past, which is, I will be a bit sarcastic about it, is learning the calendar. Okay, what does it mean, learning the calendar? It's kind of the art of saying yes. In many cases, and again, I'm talking about myself a few years ago, I was always surprised that the end of the month was coming. Like, oh, I can't believe it's the end of the month. Oh, I can't believe it's the end of the quarter. Oh, I can't believe there is another board meeting. Now, this is exactly the tipping point between being reactive and proactive. You can sit and wait until, and again, not really sit and not do nothing, right? You can be very busy in what you're doing, but wait until the CEO or the CRO is sending you, hey, we're preparing to the board meeting. And by the way, it's like in 2 days from now or in 3 days from now, and we need all this data. And then we're always surprised that, oh, we don't have the data accurate. Now we need to chase after the people and do manual updates. If we learn in advance what are the critical junctions that we are required at, we can clear the time. We know that in the last 2 or 3 days of the month, we're not doing office hours. We're not doing new things. We need to understand it's the end of the month and we're required end of the month summary. This is a job that we will all have to do, no matter how automated the work is going to be. Same goes with the board. And I think when it comes to board reporting, it's something, a challenge that I always face, like, the stress of I need something for tomorrow from a CEO, because I'm coming mostly from small startups. So I know this stressful environment. So for me, it was, when a board happened, know when the next board is happening. Okay, just put it in your calendar. Your management would much more appreciate you if you would be proactive and say, hey, I know the board is coming in 2 weeks. The data is already in place. And hey, the data is pushed to you and not being requested as stress. And then you become a real value center to the company and have the ability to impact. So when we say manage backlog, it's also looking ahead. It's also understanding the critical points that you are required. And I can give tons of examples like this, we know that new sales reps are joining, or we know that we're hiring for reps. This is our time to say what I will be needing to do in 3 months from now or 2 months from now, what I need to prepare right now. Otherwise, we will just continue to be surprised. And now I want to do a segue to lean into a very important thing, which is the knowledge management, the knowledge transfer in general. Because Eric, you mentioned it before, creating the visibility, or you all mentioned about having office hours, or people need to prepare. But I guess for you and for our audience today as well, in many cases, we're getting the same request, the same question, right? Same person runs into the same problem, or a different person runs into the same problem, but you already invested the time in explaining it, showing it. What's your best tips for knowledge management in the organization? We can start with you, Eric, again.
For knowledge management, knowledge keeping.
Yeah.
I mean,
and how important it is, and I would say how important it is for managing backlog to not be repeatable.
Yeah. So I think a solid project there's two pieces. I think from a system side, there's a solid project management system where you're categorizing and all of your intake, so you understand trends that are coming through, and anything that you're working on, making sure that it's well documented in whatever internet source you're using, be it Confluence or Slab or Notion, and making sure that stuff gets updated regularly. It sounds like a fluffy answer that most people in RevOps would agree it sounds nice in practice, but is often overlooked. But that's something that we're working really, at my company, working really hard on figuring out and making sure that repeatable questions, we have repeatable processes for. If we think about this from a marketing side, we've gotten the same marketing request time and time and time again. I'll give you a little plug, Aviv. We actually developed a sweep process specifically for the marketing team so that they don't have to come to us for repeatable actions time and time. Developed that, and we actually published that in our intranet. So, yeah.
Amazing. Kim, from your angle as a consultant, how do you see it? Like managing the knowledge for a company. And by the way, I just heard this tip from someone else a couple of weeks ago, and I must say I didn't think about this angle, that they said that a good best practice or a tip for someone to keep knowledge is to use consultants, because guess what? There is no turnover. They're not going to leave you. So I guess you've seen many companies coming to you with saying, oh, we just changed management, the RevOps person left, and you like the source of truth. So how does it look from the angle of the consultant?
Exactly. From my perspective, it's my job to make sure I'm documenting everything to be sure that I'm contributing back to that knowledge base, right? There is no way that I'm putting forth a new process without documenting it, sharing it, training, enabling, putting it out there to the world, for the company to understand and fully walk through. I know from working in-house for so many years, walking into a tangled mess of backlog or a tangled mess of Salesforce spaghetti code, right? You don't know what is going to break down the road if you try to fix something. So being able to contribute to that is super important.
And John, from your perspective as someone that's specialized on CRM, again, a system that is prone to changes, a lot of things are happening all the time, integrations being added. What would you recommend for a RevOps person that, trying to manage their backlog with having a system like Salesforce in place, and how to work efficiently on this?
Yeah, building a knowledge base for internal stuff sounds daunting. So it doesn't have to be that formalized. I mean, it could be a Slack channel, right? Salesforce question Slack channel, and you've always got your power users. And you always have your guys are gonna ask to have their password reset every week, right? So let them help each other, right? If one salesperson has a question, I guarantee you another one has the same question. So keep that feed going. If you can formalize it in something like Confluence, Eric, great. But you got to have somebody that's going to maintain that, right? And sometimes that's difficult. So take the easy road, Slack channel. Chatter, it's kind of less and less these days, but yeah, just try and get to the salespeople start helping each other, and that will pay dividends.
And I do want to do a nice segue here into, like, again, from your experience, we heard a lot of strategy tips and self-management tips, or work management tips, but let's talk a little bit about tools and things that we see out there today, right? One of the things that and I'll start with saying a great example that I also learned recently, that when we do this knowledge transfer, or in general, record. Just use the record. Every system allows you to record it. You can use Loom to record screens. So even if you come to troubleshoot and you do something, even if you're doing those office hours and not everyone is showing up, or you want to do a training for your team, and not everyone is showing up, but you just want to show them a new feature. And we know how easy it could be to write an update in Slack. Hey, we have this new feature. Now you can see it in Salesforce. This specific AE is on PTO. When he'll be back, it will, like, 50 messages behind, he will never read through to understand what happened. And then guess what? We will have to address this question again. So what we learned that is very efficient is just making videos, making loops. Just keep them, pin them, save them in a folder, really have how-tos. And it's also, what I see, and I heard it from you guys before, is it really makes people, do their best. It's not just oh, I'm stuck on something I don't know, I'll ask the RevOps like a support center. Now I have this video that I need to watch. I will learn how to do it, and I might learn how to do it for the next time. But what are your tools that you're using to make sure you're managing your right backlog and I would say road? Amanda, I haven't heard you for a while.
I mean, yeah, I'm a big fan of the video, to be honest, because then you can take that video and go put it in Notion or some Confluence, like whatever like wiki or documentation tool that you're using. I will say, like, I was not the best at documentation. Um, and yeah, someone mentioned Scribe. Scribe is also just so easy. It's like one of my blessed tools today. And then I use Chat GPT a lot now too to just help. I'll just write out like, here's the process. Can you help me write a quick documentation, a quick process documentation document for me. And so those are some tools that I use to really help me, because like I said, it's like one of my faults, having been in my last role, I was a RevOps team of one for a long time. And so I really was just like the fail. I was the one who knew everything and I didn't have anyone else to share that with. So it didn't really matter if I did document things. But I think now that I'm older and wiser, I definitely have a different perspective of that. Because then, when you do bring on people, when you do bring on, a consultant, it makes it harder to teach them all the things that are true about your sales force or about your processes, or what constitutes an opportunity, like those sorts of things that seem easy to you, or seem like, yeah, everyone should know this. Like, no, every business is different. So it really just helps, I think, I think those are the tools that I currently lean on to like help me get my mind on paper.
Amazing. Kim, what would be the tools that you would always recommend your customers use?
Yeah, definitely any kind of source of knowledge management. Big fan of Vidyard. That's an old one, but similar to Loom, right? To record anything and make sure that everyone's on the same page. But honestly, if your teams, like most people are on Slack, use that, right? Use that recording in Slack. Make sure that you're not asking your sales teams to go somewhere else to check this out or look at that, right? I think that's really important, not to have tool fatigue.
Absolutely. This is a topic for another webinar, probably. The tools big. We will not have enough time today to cover this part of it. But Eric, what will be your go-tos that you work with your team and to create this visibility that you mentioned before?
Yeah, three things I really like. The third one I'll leave is contentious. The lucid chart, whimsical, any sort of flow chart visualization I love. I think it gives a lot of really good insight into what's going on. Couple that with a Loom to then talk people through it. And then one thing that I'm being pulled into, or I'm jumping into, which I really like, is an accompanying narrative doc written in prose, actually talking through what's going on. I'm working with quite a few people right now who come from Amazon, who are very familiar with the doc. And I swear to everybody here, it works and it's great.
Amazing. John, probably the one with the most experience here around the development of tools in the last few years. What will be your recommendation for people trying to get over their backlog in terms of tools?
Specific to Salesforce, there's so many great utilities out there that'll make your life easier, right? If it's your tool suite makes it easier, and faster config things, in normal speak, not having to be overly technical. There's things like GearSet help with deployment. There's things like Elements Cloud, which help with documentation. And so the drudgery of, in building enhancements and deploying them, there's just like some great utilities out there that'll cut that time in half.
Amazing. And I will add from my angle, of course, that I'm biased, but I really like Eric's approach about making things visual, right? Just because making things visual and it is, again, I consider myself a colorful person, so I love things in colors. By the way, and especially when it comes to managing backlog, I always like to show to myself all the greens of the done and all the red of the, stuck or on hold, all the color coding tools, whether if it's on Google Sheets or a project management, it doesn't really matter. But I like to make things visual. And it's also, when we're talking about, again, Suite for this case or any other tool like Lucidchart that you mentioned, the idea is not just to have the visibility, but also the context. And when I say context, and this is something very important in RevOps, in my opinion, is making sure everyone is talking the same language. And this is especially important, I guess, with people like John, which is more in the technical assistant, and Kim as a fractional RevOps. Creating the shared language is critical, especially when it comes to revenue systems. And I will give you an example for all of us just to agree on this. How many times did you hear from someone, let's say not in RevOps, talking about a lead, right? The lead object, or a lead is a new person or a new business opportunity. But us as people coming from the systems, we know that a lead is an object in Salesforce and a contact is an object in Salesforce. So when this person means a new lead coming in, what does he mean, right? And this also translates towards the entire funnel, right? Everybody's saying lead, and then you hear a marketing person saying, oh, it's not an MQL or an SQL. So when you create this visual map of the process of what's going on, you're color coding the things, people can understand what's happening. And then also when you face those challenges of managing backlog, or in general, managing your day-to-day, you can always go back to the process, or the visual process, and to understand where to invest. And as Amanda said before, to make sure revenue is not leaking is also to understand where in the process this revenue is not is leaking from, and where we need to invest. So my tip would be to keep it visual. And with that being said, we have 10 minutes to go. I want to see if we have some questions coming from the audience. That's the time. Matt, I don't know if you had the chance to see. I was focusing on listening to you, so I didn't see if there are any questions coming in. But in the meantime, for the people that stayed with us, if you have questions, shoot them in the chat. If not, I do want to wrap up with, I think if we started with a funny story, but where did you start to work? Let's recap with a horror story, right? Something that happened around, some story that you're happy to share with everyone around project management and backlog management and RevOps. So we'll start with maybe with John this time. You probably got a lot of customers coming to you in crisis times.
Just one, John. Just one story too. I'm sure you've got like a bunch that you can share.
Yeah, I'm working on the larger enterprise projects where they may even have a significant Salesforce team on staff. And then there's some new big project, this is the 6-month project to implement Service Cloud or CPQ or field service or something. But the Salesforce admin's never in the meetings, right? Because they're too busy. And then towards the end of the project, they start, to see what we've designed, and something's missing, right? So that is crushing, because then obviously you're missing your timeline, you're blowing your budget. So you got to find a way to keep those key stakeholders in meetings, right? And it's tough, right? So that's what, I've kind of learned that the hard way, and in the enterprise space, I've seen it happen over and over again. So, and then, projects get shelved or they fail. So you got to be able to keep those key stakeholders, from the very beginning in the key design sessions, so you don't miss something.
Thank you so much, John. Eric, you're next.
Just one real nightmare scenario. I had a relatively well-known BI tool. I won't name names, but the consultant working for us from that platform accidentally deleted 3 tables that was critical for our funnel conversion rates without telling us, and we all showed up to work and everything was gone. It was able to get recovered, but it took better part of a week and a half to rebuild everything.
Talking about cleaning the backlog and starting all over again.
Yeah,
right?
just
It's
start
also,
from
it's
scratch
also a
and
good
delete
tip.
everything.
Sometimes you all need to start. Sometimes you need to start from scratch. Thank you for that, Kim.
Talk about accidental admins, right? I've been into a lot of situations where your accidental admin is your head of sales who hired you. You walk into your Salesforce instance and say, oh my God, what happened here and who messed this up? And having to come back to that head of sales and say, hey, you know what, none of this works. I'm gonna have to roll this all back and start again, right? That's a challenging situation. But as a consultant, you got to do it. You got to step up, you got to push back and feel comfortable saying, hey, this isn't the best practice.
Thank you. And Amanda?
Yeah, I feel like I have a very similar story to Eric's. Was working with a consultant or a consulting team, and we were working through a project to get some of the like in product data that lived in a separate database into Salesforce, and somehow in that process, like leads went missing or MQL data was lost, and so it just ruined our funnels. So they had to extract data from Marketo. I guess God bless Marketo takes every data point change and records that. And a week later we got it fixed, but definitely was like my heart dropped. Thought I was a goner.
I just don't want anyone. I just don't want anyone from our audience to think that the reason to have a consultant is because we have someone to blame.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
They're
No.
not always doing this thing. There are great consulting out there. We can say Kim and John are definitely one of them. But
we can take it. We'll take it.
Yeah. I think everyone learns from their mistakes, right? So, the cautionary tale is always take a snapshot or, some kind of backup of your databases, whether it's Salesforce or other, so you can easily recover that data. I think every like engineer knows that, but you're in RevOps, right? Like you don't think like like a database engineer. So that's the advice. It's just take a snapshot.
Thank you. And I want to
Don't make changes.
Listen to John.
I test in production, John. Yeah, don't judge. I need to put that on a t-shirt, by the way, at least for folks like me. Who needs a sandbox?
Yes. I love it. I want to say the opposite. I only have sandbox. Nobody allows me to get to production. But again, thank you all for your great insights and ideas and sharing. I think it was very productive and helpful for the community. And again, I will say on behalf of you all and us all as speakers that we are available. You can all find us on LinkedIn or at RevOps Co-op. And we're always happy to provide more ideas and tips and assistance. This is part of the magic of this RevOps community. We're here to learn, and there's never enough learning, that's for sure. We always have more room for learning and growth, and learn from other people and other companies. And I wish everyone that is a team of one right now to get to the position they have bigger teams and bigger challenges. And with that being said, I will also like to thank you on behalf of myself and to send it back to Matt in RevOps Co-op.
Yeah, so thanks. I'll second what Aviv said. Thank you to everybody for joining the panel, and thank you to everybody who attended. We can kind of wrap things up. I think everyone should get a really short survey after they exit the Zoom on feedback from the event. Please fill that out. And then like Aviv said, everyone here obviously is available on LinkedIn. We dropped their profiles into the chat before, but also available through the RevOps Co-op community. And then folks like John and folks from the Sweep crew are going to be in person in San Diego in a few weeks to hang out. So we can all kind of bump knuckles in person there as well. But with that, I'll let you all run. So again, to the panelists, to the attendees, to everybody listening in, thank you very much. And I'll see you all on the flip side. So have a good rest of your day, everybody.